If you think Iran is just a modern-day political hotspot, prepare to see it in an entirely new light. The story of Iran, known in ancient times as Persia, has already been written in the Bible. From the very first pages of Genesis to the apocalyptic visions of Revelation, Persia has been intricately woven into God's divine plan for humanity. And it's not just the history of a mighty empire, it's a prophetic journey that spans from creation to the final days. In Genesis, we find the earliest trace of ancient Iran. After the Great Flood, Noah's 3 sons became the forefathers of new nations. 2 of them, Modai, son of Japheth, and Elam, son of Shembi, came the patriarchs of the Medes and the Elam, who would later form the Persian Empire. The Elamites were no small tribe. In Genesis 14, Elam is part of a coalition of 4 eastern kings that invades Canaan and takes Lot, Abraham's nephew, captive. But Abraham, with only 318 men, defeats this powerful alliance, showing a central truth that echoes throughout Scripture. No power on earth can prevail against those under God's favor. Yet this early enemy would later become God's chosen instrument of deliverance. Through the prophets Isaiah and Jeremiah, God declared that he would use the Medes and Persians to bring judgment upon Babylon, the empire that had destroyed Jerusalem and burned down his temple. But that wasn't all. God went even further, naming a man not yet born, Cyrus, king of Persia, as his anointed one, chosen to set the Jews free and rebuild the temple in Jerusalem. This prophecy was fulfilled with astonishing precision. Cyrus the Great conquered Babylon with little resistance and issued a decree allowing the Jews to return home after 70 years of exile. During this time, a young man named Daniel, taken into captivity in Babylon, was gifted by God with visions of the future. In King Nebuchadnezzar's dream of the great statue, Daniel revealed that after Babylon would come another kingdom symbolized by the silver chest and arms, representing the Medo-Persian Empire. In another vision, Persia appeared as a great bear, raised up on one side, with 3 ribs in its mouth, symbolizing its conquest of Lydia, Babylon, and Egypt. Under Cyrus and his son Cambyses II, these victories became reality. Persia emerged as a global superpower, stretching from India to Ethiopia. At the height of its glory, an extraordinary moment occurred. A single woman would change the fate of her people. Her name was Esther, a Jewish orphan living in exile in the Persian capital of Susa. Through her courage and wisdom, she won the heart of King Xerxes and became queen without revealing her heritage. When Haman, a powerful official, plotted to exterminate all Jews, Esther risked her life to intervene. Approaching the king uninvited, a crime punishable by death, she found favor in his eyes. Her bravery turned what could have been a day of genocide into a day of salvation. Once again, Persia became a fortress for God's people. But Persia's story didn't end there. Centuries later, when Jesus was born in a humble manger in Bethlehem, the first to recognize him weren't Jewish scholars, they were wise men from the East, though their nationality isn't named. Strong evidence suggests they came from the ancient lands of Persia, modern-day Iran. These magi, scholars and astronomers, may have studied the prophecies of Daniel, who had once served in Persia. When they saw the mysterious star rise, they knew what it meant. The Messiah had come. They traveled far, bringing gold, frankincense, and myrrh gifts, symbolizing his kingship, divinity, and sacrifice. Still, Iran's destiny in the Bible is not only one of redemption, but also of judgment. In Ezekiel chapters 38 and 39, the prophet describes a terrifying coalition of nations that will rise against Israel in the last days. Among the very first named is Persia, joined by Kush, Sudan, Put, Libya, Gomer, and Togarmah regions around Turkey and the Caucasus. This army will surge like a storm across the land, but God will personally intervene with earthquakes, fire, and confusion. The world will witness his holiness and his power. Yet even in this darkness, there is a hidden path of hope. In Jeremiah 49, God gives a forgotten prophecy about Elam, ancient Aram. I will break the bow of Elam, the mainstay of their might. But in the latter days, I will restore the fortunes of Elam. Though judgment is certain, restoration is still possible. Iran's story doesn't end in ruin. If it turns back to God, it too can be redeemed in glory. From Genesis to Revelation, Persia has always played a role in God's unfolding plan. From being Abraham's first enemy to becoming the liberator of God's people. From honoring the birth of the Messiah to rising again in the final warrior's journey, mirrors humanity's own path. Created, fallen, judged, and offered redemption. So now, the question is yours. Do you believe Iran is playing its prophetic role today? Where are we in this divine story? Could the ancient prophecies be quietly unfolding in the headlines we read each morning? If you're ready to see the world through the lens of prophecy, reflect on these truths, and share your thoughts. And if you want to continue exploring how current events align with the Bible, share this message. Because now, more than ever, understanding is essential.